Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Mental Mondays, my favorite part of doing the YouTube videos. And all you guys out there that are part of the Mental Monday Club, welcome back, that have been watching it for a while. And if you're new to the channel, Mental Mondays is something we do every Monday. That sometimes we talk about fishing, sometimes we don't, but a lot of the stuff is just sort of the mental part of life that I've learned through bass fishing quite a bit. I like to share with you guys. Today, what we're going to talk about is basically the whole concept, the reality of being a product of your upbringing, with the exception of some things. And we're going to get into that a little bit. And I wanted to talk about this because, a lot of it is, I talk about things on this Mental Monday that, I may have seen recently, some things about human behavior that I've seen, gives me some ideas. And that's what today's topic was. So anyway, when we're talking about product or upbringing, a lot of this, it's stuff that I've seen from human behavior, just observations around me that sticks out. And I think a lot of us can pretty much grasp and understand and agree that we are products of our upbringing to a large degree. What I'm talking about this is that, however you were raised, a lot of times you tend to continue on with that, the way that you were raised, as far as the approaches and the viewpoints of life, that type of stuff. There are some exceptions that we'll talk about a little bit more. But I want to give you guys two examples right off the bat that really stick out. And that is our two favorite topics you're not supposed to talk about in public, and that's religion and politics. To me, when you're talking about being products of your upbringing, there's no better examples to talk about than religion and politics, because almost without exception, when children are raised by their parents, assuming they have like a traditional family upbringing, which is, it's not as common as it used to be. I don't know if there's anything considered a traditional family upbringing, but because there's a lot of, single family parents, single family households, divorces, that type of stuff. But ultimately, however you were raised as a child, we're talking specifically about politics and religion, you tend to take those same concepts throughout the majority of your life. Most people do. Now, there are exceptions to those rules. Usually what happens, and specifically talking politics and religion, and you can apply it to anything else as well, is that you were exposed and you're raised to believe a certain set of facts or realities or viewpoints. And as children, everybody accepts that. You just accept that as your reality, and you don't really question it. You don't start questioning things in your own worldview until you start to get, more in your teens, more close to 20 years old. But up until that point, specifically like religion and politics, is what you're exposed to. If you were raised in one specific, a family that had a specific religious doctrine, sometimes, a lot of times you'll continue on with that. If you were raised in a family that had a specific political viewpoint, you tend to carry that into your reality as well, until you get to the point where maybe you start questioning life in general and you start becoming your own person a little bit more. And normally, being a product of your environment like that, I'm going to guess, if I had to put a figure on it, I think that probably 75% of the people out there go through life in general pretty much being products of their upbringing, not only in religion and politics, but in all different aspects of life in general. The family unit has a big part to do with it, and also peer groups, education, and that type of stuff. So normally what happens is when somebody starts to get to be in their teen years or their early 20s, there's two things that take place that basically, allow somebody or causes somebody to separate from their upbringing as far as their viewpoints on reality of their upbringing. And one is the peer group they surround themselves with, which usually, when your viewpoints are changed through a peer group, a lot of times that doesn't have a real positive influence. And the other would be education. Education can change your viewpoints on a lot of different aspects of things. So that is sort of what happens for the most part, as far as, how you move about life after you get older, as far as being a product of your upbringing. I think one of the big keys on this is everybody comes to a point within their life where they need to question everything in their life, because I don't think there's anything healthy in life about accepting anything in life. I don't care what it is, unless you prove it to be true for yourself. Because I don't think that a lot of people can develop a grounded foundation internally, mentally, physically, and spiritually unless they have a viewpoint on life that they have examined closely through facts, critical thinking, observation, and made the determination that this is true for me, this works for me, this feels good for me to do this. I think far too often, a lot of people, what happens is they tend to get comfortable with the way they were raised, and this can be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not passing judgment one way or the other, it's just an observation. I think what happens for a lot of people is they get comfortable with the way they believe, and fear keeps them from expanding out away from that particular viewpoint. They don't put themselves in the position or around people or around information that will challenge that viewpoint. It's like I'm putting this figure again, 75% of the people out there, they go down that same path that they were raised, and they tend to shy away from anything that is contrary to that viewpoint, even regardless if it's true or not, regardless if it's a fantasy that they live in, or a world of misinformation or whatever, or truth or whatever. They tend to stay on that path right there. And I think that, again, depending upon the situation, that can be an unhealthy or a healthy thing. I think one of the biggest things that can help people out there for the most part is, I don't know anyone out there that doesn't come to a certain part in when they're a young adult, that they don't question some things. It's like you may have been told this is the way things are, over and over again. You were told this is the way they are. This is good, this is bad. These are bad people, these are good people. And probably at some point, most people have a little bit of question about that, but they tend to get it tapped down and beat down, especially if they surround themselves with information or people that support or encourage that type of thought. So, and like I said, this can go either way. It can be bad or good. What my point in this whole thing is I encourage people, and it's been my experience in life, that you don't need to believe anything you were taught or you were raised, like I said, unless you can prove it to be true for yourself and for others. And for me, there's a lot of different things that determine what is true. It's like, if the viewpoint on life that you have, or the way that you live your life, or the type of person you are, is based upon some elements of kindness, compassion, justice, critical thinking, truth, integrity, empathy, all these type of positive factors that we have in the human experience. If your belief system or the way you were raised encourages that, then I think it's probably a pretty good thing. But if a lot of the ways that you were raised have a lot of different things that include anger and frustration, hostility, lack of patience, discrimination, prejudices, all that type of stuff. If you have a lot of that in your life, you may want to examine, your point of the viewpoint of reality that you have, because those are not things that are natural or serve any benefit in our life here on this planet. So, but anyway, I watch this a lot. It's pretty interesting how this works. And for my own situation here, I'll give you a little bit about it. I sort of hit the jackpot as far as an upbringing goes. I had a very stable family life. I had 2 loving parents, very positive family upbringing. A lot of people don't have that. In fact, probably at least half or more people don't have that. They come from broken homes, divorces, weird stuff going on in the family, toxic stuff going on. So I can only empathize with somebody and imagine what a lot of people have to go through as far as, the upbringings that they have. So man, one of the things I'd suggest you guys out there, if you guys are in a situation where you have children, man, do everything you can to create a nurturing, holistic, loving, peaceful household for your children, because that makes a huge impact on them. After a child gets over 4 or 5 years old, a lot of the stuff that they've experienced either scars them or stays with them and makes them a positive person. So that's a big deal to remember with that. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Quick video today. Like I said, this is a topic it's one of the most fascinating topics that I can think about, because I see it so much and I see so many different examples of it in life. I mean, I always wonder, it's like, you got this, war criminal and his army of orcs, Vladimir Putin. I always wonder what type of upbringing he had when he was a kid to turn into such a monster, and then you see a lot of people out there that turn out really good, and you can trace that back to their upbringing. And I think another important thing to remember, guys, is we're assuming when you talk about how people turn out as adults from children, we're assuming they're healthy and they have a normal functioning, part of their being. But I think a lot of the times when you have, say, for example, somebody that came from a warm, loving, supporting, nurturing family that turned out to be bad or whatever, or if you've got some people that you just can't quite figure out how they went wrong, I think a lot of it, there's probably maybe some degree of mental illness involved with that, and that's a whole nother topic of discussion. But I'm talking specifically about just, normal situations that we encounter every day. So just a few thoughts today in today's Middle Monday. We are products of our upbringing. If you have an upbringing that is positive to you and people around you, you feel good about it, you live a life that's not based upon fear and anger and hostility, you're probably on the right track. But if you have a life today where, you have some issues with integrity, like I said, you discriminate, you have prejudices, you have a lot of toxic feelings, it's not too late to change. I mean, everybody can change. It's just a matter of examining that and realizing the fact that something may need an adjustment, but we all have the ability to make that adjustment. And we just have to have the courage to step out and do that, and to break away from, maybe the patterns that we learned in the past. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Throw me some comments, much appreciated, and we'll talk to you guys later.